The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. So far, what we have learned is that happiness is not the destination, but the journey. It is a process that leads you to your goal. I used to be the type of person who thought my happiness was in accomplishing something. I was sure that I would find fulfillment every time I achieved a goal set for myself. But when I started the journey of Stoicism, I began to put pieces of myself together. It was then I understood that what truly brought me joy were also things that aligned with my values. I liked the simple and peaceful life. Anything that was in alignment with that and still had virtue was enough to bring me happiness. All those goals I set put me on a track, but they didn't define my state of mind. I didn't wake up every morning wondering what I had done on my to-do list. Instead, I became more engaged in the things I could do to bring more joy into my day. That said, this was my journey. The way it happened for me is not going to be the same way it would happen for you. The important thing is to understand the basics about happiness and, like the great philosophers told us, to apply the knowledge. So, let us explore happiness in depth. Happiness in Stoicism is a construct of the mind. That doesn't mean it is not real. It means it is an experience that is continuous and ongoing. Therefore, it is not dictated by events or your association with people, or even your mood. The atmosphere you create in your mind can deliver happiness to you. But many of us tend to look for happiness on the outside because this is what we have been taught. Companies and marketing agencies capitalize on this to sell us different versions of happiness every single day, and unfortunately, we buy into it. We have become slaves to a system that has us working round the clock to save up money to buy something that we have been told will give us happiness in some way. And when we don't find it there, we look to the next product and repeat the same cycle. This continuous pattern of behavior has made it difficult for us to connect with our true selves, which are where happiness lies. In this chapter, we're going to explore what it means to be happy and the things we can do to create happiness within and become independent of the social construct of happiness. We will learn how to reflect true happiness in every area of our lives. This knowledge will allow us to be authentic and self-aware while imbibing values that make us better as humans. Live with Arit. Before we begin, I would like to point out that there is no fixed definition or direction when it comes to understanding some of the concepts in Stoicism. Every subject can present you with a new meaning depending on the perspective from which you view it. So, what I'm going to talk about here is a perspective that I agree with. As you continue to grow on your journey in Stoicism, you will probably do some research and discover other perspectives that you identify with more. No matter what, the background is usually similar. For this segment, we are going with the angle of living with Arit as being about living with excellence. When we think of happiness, we often look at it from this Hollywood perspective where you are constantly smiling, the sun is always shining, life is good, and everything is the way you hoped it would be. Our reliance on the media definition of happiness is so strong that even when we are living in our bubble of happiness, we are unable to realize this because we think it is something that is out there. Living with Arit defines happiness as living a life of excellence. There is a level of satisfaction from knowing that you are doing your best. But before you go into being the best version of yourself, you have to mentally remove yourself from the competition. We are under the illusion that we are competing with someone, and because of this competition, We have created a yardstick for how good our performance should be. We don't judge our performance based on internal factors which help us grow. We base it on what other people are doing, and this has a way of cutting off our happiness and making it difficult to find inner peace. When you do something, no matter how much personal satisfaction you get from it, you are unable to enjoy it because you think the next person is doing something bigger and better. As a result, we get caught up in this idea that to be excellent, we have to do something grand. Excellence has nothing to do with what your peers are doing. It may be nice to feel that you can stand on equal grounds with your peers, but the feeling you get from that is temporary. For a more durable form of happiness, you need to accept yourself for who you are. When you accept yourself for who you are, you remove yourself from that awful competition and focus on your race. Now, in your race against yourself, you become aware of the constraints and limitations that you have and are more willing to work with them instead of against them. However, you don't allow emotions like self-doubt and fear to hold you back from achieving what you know you are capable of. Now, when you try to live a life of excellence, you will no longer be doing it against other people, but rather you would be looking at improving yourself every day. This can happen over time with diligence and self-discipline. Just remember, a life of excellence is not a life of perfection or a life without mistakes. It is simply a commitment to improving your performance in whatever area of your life every day. Knowing that you have limitations doesn't mean you should accept mediocrity. Instead, let it motivate you to push past your boundaries and be the best you can be. Not just in the things that you do, but in the way you live your life. Let it be filled with excellence. Express your highest self in every moment. To enjoy the full benefits of Stoicism, you must understand that what you learn here is not something you do as a hobby or to keep up with the trends. This is a lifestyle choice that requires daily practice. It demands an attitude of excellence at all times. When something is a lifestyle, it is a part of you. Whether you have an audience or are alone, you remain true to the values that you imbibe along the way. A great example of someone who presented his best self at all times was Marcus Aurelius. Remember, he was said to be one of the most powerful men in the world during his time. Yet, his attitude and countenance were consistent with that of a man who knew his purpose and was committed to serving it no matter the circumstance. Marcus Aurelius proved that he could have been a bricklayer, a congressman, or even a baker, but the way he carried himself would still be the same way he did when he was an emperor. Living your best self at all times is not about being perfect. It is about living in alignment. Social media in our present time has caused us to lead a divisive life. We have separated the way we live into two main categories, the one we live in the virtual world and the one that we live in real life. And usually there is a huge contrast between the two. When you are living your best self, you are supposed to be the same person at all times, consistent in your values, consistent in delivering excellence, and consistent in being an authentic voice. That doesn't mean you must stay in one place without any evidence of growth. Change is a part of the process, and as a Stoic, you should be the instigator of that change. However, as you do this, it is important that you diligently apply the principles you learn. In expressing your best self, accept the fact that peace of mind can also come from knowing who you are at all times and choosing to be that person even when you might be faced with opposing voices who want to silence your identity. Expressing the best version of yourself every day is not something that just happens. It is a choice you must make and continue to make. When I got to this part of the journey, my biggest struggle was choosing myself over the opinion of other people. It became easier for me when I accepted the fact that the problem was not their opinions, but that I still put their opinions above mine. Your best self should never be dictated by social standards. The world has an opinion of who you should be. If you create a life that revolves around that opinion, it invalidates your true self. This is what brings dissatisfaction even if you are considered the best. Society may tell you that expressing the best version of yourself every day would mean you taking the lead position in whatever it is you are doing, fitting into the definition of what they expect you to be, and so on. If that person does not have anything in common with the values that you want to embody, then you are nowhere near the version of the person you could be. The standards should come from within. Remember that it is all about being in alignment.